Good afternoon. Thank you for coming today. It is both my pleasure and my honor to welcome you here today. California Education Code 51440 and 51430 authorizes county offices of education to award high school diplomas retroactively to the men and women who served our country overseas in World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War, as well as those Japanese Americans who were detained in internment camps and did not complete their high school education. We are here today to honor 5 veterans with this recognition for the service they provided to our country. This education code is very dear to my heart, as my father was able to receive his diploma through this honorable program. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the first annual San Mateo County Office of Education Operation Recognition. Please stand as American Legion District 26 presents the colors, leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and remain standing while Brianna Musso sings the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Now I'd like to welcome Ann Campbell, San Mateo County Superintendent of Schools.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is truly an honor to welcome you to this very special ceremony at the San Mateo County Office of Education. This is our very first opportunity to host an Operation Recognition ceremony, so I especially want to thank these wonderful gentlemen who will be receiving their high school diplomas for joining us today so that we can honor them as we move through our ceremony. To Senator Hill, to Supervisor Slocum, County Board President Beverly Gerard, and County Board members Alvaro and Camacho, thank you for participating together with us as elected officials in Operation Recognition. Your presence adds a very special note to our event, and we're honored by your attendance here today, so thank you. Thanks also to Congresswoman Jackie Spear, who is unable to be here today. She's off on the other coast doing our business in Washington, D.C. We miss her, but she's very well represented by Mr. Mark Nogales of her staff, who is representing her today. Those of us in attendance who are elected officials owe a special debt to the veterans who are here and to the many more throughout our country, because they have done so much to preserve the freedoms that we enjoy as Americans, particularly the right to vote and the opportunity to participate in government service at the will of the people. So we extend a very special thank you to you. I also want to acknowledge the representation of the San Mateo County Veterans Service Office. We have Mr. Richard Jackson and Ms. Megan Finau here, who have been instrumental in helping us to put together this event today. So thanks very much to the Veterans Service Office for that help. I also have to extend a very special note of thanks to Dr. Audra Pittman, who is the individual that is primarily responsible for bringing Operation Recognition to the San Mateo County Office of Education. Probably about a year ago or so, Dr. Pittman visited my office to ask if I would consider implementing Operation Recognition in Redwood City and in San Mateo County. I didn't know much about Operation Recognition at the time, but Dr. Pittman did a great job of explaining it to me and shared, as she just did a moment ago, that her father had been a recipient of an Operation Recognition diploma in Southern California, and how much receiving that diploma had meant to him and to their family. So I thought, as I considered Dr. Pittman's suggestion, that it would be a great idea to host Operation Recognition here in San Mateo, and we find ourselves here today a little bit over a year later. So thank you very much for that, Audra. We also, as you can see, as you've been coming in, we have a variety of members of our staff who've also worked very, very hard to be sure that today's festivities go off as smoothly as possible. And I do want to acknowledge the work of Sylvia Cardenas, Kim Ray, Marcia Serpa Garcia, Nancy McGee, and Donnie Tsai, who have done a magnificent job of organizing today's event. Most importantly, though, I want to express my heartfelt thanks to Hospital Apprentice Osorio, Private First Class Ruse, Specialist Sacalarios, Corporal Schonstein, and Airman Second Class Trott. Over the course of my career, I've had the opportunity to preside over many graduation ceremonies, but never one quite like this. Please know that as we present you with your high school diploma today, that we express our deepest appreciation and profound gratitude for your service and for your sacrifice. Because each of you left high school to serve in the United States military prior to receiving your diploma, you didn't have a chance to savor that special recognition from family and friends that was enjoyed by so many of your peers long ago as they walked across a high school stage to receive their diplomas. I think that we've got a great assembly of family and friends here today to honor you, so we hope that we'll be able to make up for that. We hope today's ceremony will, in some small part, provide you with the satisfaction of knowing that you have indeed now received that long-missing and well-deserved high school diploma. Because no graduation ceremony is complete without a commencement address, we have asked San Mateo County Supervisor Warren Slocum to be our speaker here today. Supervisor Slocum is especially well suited to this role because he is a veteran himself, having enlisted in the United States Army in the 1960s and having served in Vietnam. His unit in Vietnam received a meritorious unit citation, which is described by the Army as a distinction received by a military unit for the display of such outstanding devotion and superior performance of exceptionally difficult tasks as to set it apart and above other units with similar missions. I didn't know Supervisor Slocum back in the 1960s, although I am also of that era, I must confess, but I do know him today, and I can attest to his outstanding devotion and superior performance of exceptionally difficult tasks in his current role as a San Mateo County Supervisor. So it is with great respect and deep admiration that I introduce Supervisor Warren Slocum to make comments this afternoon. Supervisor Slocum.
So I have to compliment the superintendent because I don't know where in the world you got all that information, but for the most part, by and large, all that's pretty true. As fate would have it, that I had some remarks prepared, and so this morning I was at the computer and went to print my remarks, and the county's computer system was down. So I'm here with no written remarks, which is probably just as well, right? So like the veterans that we're honoring here today in Operation Recognition, I just want to share a couple of things. First of all, you and I have some things in common. First of all, obviously, we're all veterans, and we served our country. But more than that, I understand that each of you were enlisted men and not officers. Is that true? So I too was an enlisted man and actually got discharged as a Buck Sergeant E5 and very proud to have served in the United States Army. I did, as the superintendent said, signed up, volunteered, and after a few months of training, found myself in Vietnam at a very early age. In fact, like you, I was 18 years old in a combat zone. And I want to share just a quick story with you about that, not to tell war stories or anything like that, but I think there's a message in the experience. Stepping off that plane as a 18-year-old and making my way eventually after a few days to a little clearing in the jungle in Vietnam. Was a very small clearing, had barbed wire around it. It was very primitive. It was out in the middle of nowhere, as I recall, some 30 miles northeast of Saigon. And the second night I was there, we came under a mortar attack and small arms fire, et cetera, et cetera. And no amount of training, as you all will attest to, can prepare you for that moment in combat when chaos, total chaos, ensues. And in my case, the barbed wire had tin cans on it that was supposed to be an early warning system for people coming across the barbed wire or cutting it. There were flares in the barbed wire. And of course, it was out in the middle of nowhere. It was completely pitch dark. And when these mortars started to come in, the monkeys and the wild boar and I don't know what else was out there started just going crazy. And it was all this noise and fear. And somehow the enemy had the exact basic coordinates of an ammunition dump. And I think the first or second shell went into the entryway to that thing, and the whole thing started blowing up, which just added to the situation. So you can imagine, as an 18-year-old being in that situation, how much fear there was. And I can recall, just as quickly as all that started, a still came over the jungle. And it was eerie because it just became calm all in a moment. And then I remember, like it was yesterday, that a woman came over a loudspeaker, and I'm told that later on it might have actually been Hanoi Hannah, who would come on the radio and the loudspeaker, and she was basically telling us that, GI, you're going to die, you're never going to get home, and you might as well give up. And it was just, I was just right out of high school, totally not prepared for this, as most of us are not prepared. But it did teach me an important lesson, a lesson that I learned from my company commander, actually, in the year that I served there. And the lesson was that he taught us, and I'm sure it's the same lesson that you all learned, was to never leave anybody behind. So to me, that lesson that I took away from that evening and from that year was the lesson that he taught us, which was you don't ever leave anybody behind. You never, ever leave anybody behind. And so I think today is especially important because in our own small way, Superintendent, we're practicing the idea, the notion of not leaving anybody behind. And in this case, it happens to be through operation recognition and being able to bestow diplomas on the 4 veterans, the 5 veterans that are actually getting diplomas. And so I think for me, in our own way, it's an example of what that company commander taught me, which is you never leave anybody behind. And I know Jerry Hill and his work in the state senate and Jackie Spears' work in Washington, D.C., and the superintendent's work and my work at the county is certainly all about trying to make sure that in our communities we never ever leave anybody behind. And that's a very difficult task, as you all know, but I think that's the ideal that we strive for. And I'm very proud to be here with you today, to be a part of this, and to share with you these commencement words. And I just have to say that Vincent, you may not know this, but Vincent, I can tell from his medals, is an expert infantryman. But that's not what I wanted to comment. I wanted to comment on the fact that he can still get into his uniform. And we certainly know that I can't. And in fact, I don't even have a uniform. So God bless you, veterans. Thank you for your service to our country. And as we all say in our veteran community, welcome home and congratulations. Thank you.
Well, we now come to the part of the program where we're proud to award each honored veteran with his high school diploma, which after exemplary military service to our country in a time of war and many varied contributions to society in his post-war adult life, has been duly earned. In addition to the diploma, each honoree will receive additional commendations from our elected representatives. At this time, I would like to invite each of our dignitaries who will be conferring recognitions to come forward and describe what each veteran will be receiving. Would Mr. Mark Nogales, Constituent Services Director for Congresswoman Jackie Spear, Senator Jerry Hill, and Supervisor Warren Slocum please share with our guests today what you will present to each veteran and graduate?
Thank you. I'm very honored to be here. First of all, to Superintendent Campbell, thank you for doing this. Our office is partnered with the County Office of Education, and for folks that don't know this, they do a lot for veterans. One of the things I'm very proud to partner with, and it was recognized earlier this year, was the Valentine's for Vets project, where school children in San Mateo County actually make Valentine's Day cards, and we actually deliver them to our veterans. And the reactions that we get from our veterans is phenomenal. The fact that they say thank you for not forgetting about us. And I'm honored to be here to represent the Congresswoman to honor these great graduates. I'm honored to be here to present you with certificates from the Congresswoman. For it reads, I want to make sure everyone gets to know this, it's your courage and sacrifice ensure the security of our nation and freedom around the world. We can never thank you enough for the cause that you have fought for and answering the call of duty. Congratulations on receiving your high school diploma. And also a very special gift from the Congresswoman. Each graduate will get a flag that was flown in their honor for this special occasion. So congratulations.
Thank you, Eddie. Well, what an honor it is for me to be here today as well. I'm Jerry Hill, and I'm fortunate and privileged to represent this area in the California State Senate. And on behalf of the state of California and the California legislature, we have certificates of recognition and appreciation, thanking you for your service, your work, and your bravery by serving our country, and for the Operation Recognition, the opportunity that we can recognize the sacrifices that you made. And so we have one for each one of you to commemorate this and show our appreciation. So thank you.
Well, clearly I have certificate envy because from my colleagues on the Board of Supervisors in no way compares to the state senator of the United States Congress. But I am proud to present each of you with a commendation that is signed by each member of the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors, and they wanted me to be sure to extend their collective thank you to each of you as veterans having served this great country of ours. I just wanted to share one quick thing, if I could. You'll be pleased to know that a couple of days ago, the County of San Mateo actually sponsored, conducted a Veterans Summit where some 140 providers and veterans and others gathered to talk about veteran services in San Mateo County and how we could improve upon those services to those men and women who have served our country. And that work continues, but I'm very proud of that summit. And on January 13th, I think it is, the Board of Supervisors will be presented with sort of a summary of that summit, and hopefully we'll work collectively to improve our services for veterans. So once again, thank you and congratulations.
Well, we now come to the part where we are ready to confer the diplomas and other recognitions. I will call each one of you forward, one at a time, and allow time for family and friends also to take pictures once you have received your awards. Our first recipient is Mr. Robert Albert Osario, and Mr. Osario was unable to attend today, but accepting on his behalf is Mr. Richard Jackson of the Veterans Affairs Office. Next, would Mr. William Ruse please come forward?
Congratulations. We're glad you're here. There's an official diploma. Thank you. We're going to come on down. Thank you.
Okay, Anne, here.
Next, would Mr. Nicholas G. Sarkalaros please come forward to receive his diploma? Next, we would like to invite Mr. Vincent Schoenstein to please come forward.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Oh, well, that's good.
And our final honored veteran, Mr. Clifford Robert Trott, will you please come forward?
Pleasure to give that to you.
Well, congratulations to you all, and can we have one final round of applause for our honorees? Now I'm going to turn it over to Senator Jerry Hill, who will make the closing comments and lead the graduates in the turning of the tassel. Senator Hill?
Well, good afternoon again, and what an honor it is to be here, and what a great celebration. It was interesting listening to Supervisor Slocum and his comments, and interestingly, during that same period, I was in the California Army National Guard for 6 years, but never became an officer either, which is the best part. An enlisted man. I was a staff sergeant when I left, so it's an interesting time, and there's always that little hierarchy that goes in, that little friction that we see. Yesterday it was so much fun to I was exercising and kind of working, and I was watching the news as I was doing that on a treadmill. And it was Veterans Day, and I had a number of things to do and was going to go around to some events. But I was sitting there and listening to Vice President Biden at Arlington Cemetery as he was expressing the gratitude and the feelings of this grateful country for our veterans. And he said something that I thought was so important yesterday. He said, our veterans are the heart and the soul and the spine of our country. And that, I think, really expresses what we feel as a country for the gift that was given to us by all of the veterans over the many wars that we have fought. And it would be so nice if we could today say, there won't be any more, that we won't have to have an operation recognition the next time for that next war that we will see. But it will be there. It just seems that we can't win. But today, we recognize that feeling that we have and that recognition of the heart, the soul, and the spine of our country, and the sacrifices that our veterans made. And as Superintendent Campbell, when Ann was talking about the real sacrifice that you made, as young men, just getting started in high school, not being able to finish, going off to war, not knowing whether you were going to return, and so many didn't. But you made that sacrifice. In some cases, you had no choice but to go. In others, you went voluntarily. But you went and you made the sacrifice, and then you came back and went on with your lives. But there was that part that was not complete. Well, today, the good thing is that it's time for us to make this right. And I feel that we've done that in a way that is special, but more importantly, it's kind of closing that loop to solve the issue that arose at that time many years ago. So presenting a resolution or saying thank you seems so simple. It seems so minor in comparison. And how do we express our gratitude for giving up that part of your life? It really is something I think no one can really appreciate until you see it. You understand the personal sacrifice by each individual. We can talk about people going to war, coming back, or not coming back. But when you see those who actually paid that sacrifice, that's the part that's significant about today. Because that's the part that we can feel grateful for, whether it's the insignificance and the smallness of those certificates that we give, but it's the part that we are grateful, and the part that we feel is so important to us. It's been said that the nation will remain the land of the free, so long as it is the home of the brave. You are the brave, and we are grateful. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for what you did. Thank you for being here today and allowing us the honor of recognizing you. And thank you for allowing us to complete that loop finally. So now if you would please join me, and if you'd stand up, please, if you could do that, and I appreciate it. And I'd like you to take the tassel that you have. It should be on the right side. The tassel of your thing should be on the right side. And your left-handed, well, with the other right side. So it's on the right side, and what we want to do is now move it to the left. And at that point in time, you will have graduated. Hear, hear, congratulations. Thank you very much.
So would everybody please stand as American Legion District 26 retires the colors, and then we will have a reception following retiring of the colors with cake, cookies, so that we can celebrate our graduates today. Thank you, and let's celebrate.